Hey guys, I'm Vasui and welcome to my channel Not For The Faint Crafted. If you are new, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. So today we'll be doing day 6 of my Christmas craft countdown, and that is DIY Christmas cards. But before I say anything else, if you haven't seen any of my previous Christmas crafts, you can check them out in my Christmas playlist. I've saved the link below. So I've made this little pug one, and put like a little note, press my tongue, where then that should light up. There we go. And then I've also made like a Christmas pudding one. I think this one's my favourite. I love this. I love the black background and the colours of the Christmas pudding as well. And here, there's no note to say it, but you could, if you just press the centre, just flickering it like that, you can see. Yeah, that's how that one works, and I love it because you can personalise it. So I just put a simple Merry Christmas one, and in the inside I can get all personal with the message, but you can do it however you want. Super quick and easy to make. You just need to make sure you get the positive and negative strings right on that. But yeah, if you do like these crafts, please do give this video a big thumbs up, and if you love it, please do click that subscribe button. But yeah, let's do it. So to create this DIY card, you'll need a range of things. You'll need around 3 sheets of card paper, so I went for a light blue colour. You want glitter paper. You also want a postcard or an image printout that you can cut out. You'll want some copper conductive tape, a coin cell battery, 2 types of tape, one standard and one double-sided. You'll also need a pencil, craft knife and cutting mat. You'll also need small polyethylene foam sheets, which can be of a really small size, and you'll also need some glue, which I forgot to add, and you'll also need around 4 LED lights. So firstly, taking your craft knife, you want to cut out that image on the postcard carefully. And next you want to take your cutout, so mine is the image of the dog, and then stencil around this on either an A4 or A5 sheet of card. It doesn't matter which size you use. So you'll probably have a different image to work with, but what I did was I intended to place the LED lights behind the bow. So to get it as accurate as I could, I then kept the image next to me and then stenciled at the bottom roughly where I thought that bow would end. And I also wanted the battery to sit behind the tongue so that every time you press the dog's tongue, it should trigger the lights. So I also stenciled where the tongue would roughly be as well. And once you've done that, you then want to create the switch for your battery. So take a piece of card and cut a small strip around 2 centimeters wide, 5 centimeters long. Then fold this in half. And then using some double-sided sticky tape, you want to stick this strip on top of the circle that you stenciled earlier for where you're originally going to place your battery. So before I did anything, I first stenciled small circles inside that bow, and this is where I want the LED lights to sit. But to actually make this card work and light up, you need to make sure you do a few things. So firstly, where I plan on placing the actual battery, you want to make sure that the negative side faces down and the positive side of the battery faces up, so that with this you can then figure out where you need to align your copper wire tape. So using a pencil, I first stenciled roughly where I wanted the positive wire to go and the negative wire. So with the positive wire, again remembering that it needs to touch the top of the battery, I worked anti-clockwise ways, and so in red pen you can see that I've just stenciled all the way around anti-clockwise and worked my way up into that flap, so that when I do close that flap and the battery's there, then it should touch the positive side of the battery. And then same with the negative side, so I then stenciled clockwise where I want the negative wire to go, and then into the bottom part of the flap, so when the battery sits on top of it, then that should also trigger the lights to light up when it goes hand in hand with the positive wire. So now that you know where your positive line and your negative lines are, you want to then take your copper conductive tape and then stick this down following those lines. So I started off with the positive line, and so this is quite fiddly. It's not tricky, it's just fiddly because the corners are the most difficult parts. But to kind of get around this, when you've reached a corner, you just want to take your tape, fold away from the side that you want to go, and then it should form a triangle shape or like the corner of a square, and then you want to then fold back towards the direction that you want that tape to go in, and then you just want to keep repeating this process for every corner that you reach. And when you're doing that, you just want to make sure that the tape doesn't break off at any point, and that you continue it through to the inside of the flap of where you plan on sticking your battery, because for the lights to get triggered, you need to make sure that the copper tape is touching both the positive and negative side of that battery. And once you've done the positive side, you want to just repeat the same process for the negative side. Again, just making sure that the tape doesn't tear off at any point and that it continues into that inside of the flap where it's able to touch the bottom side of the battery once that's placed in. So next you want to take your LED light, and so for this to work you need to make sure that the longer side of the LED light touches the positive side of the copper tape, and then the smaller side of the LED light needs to touch the negative side of the copper tape. And then next I just wanted to test if the LED lights worked, so I just placed that battery into that flap with the positive side facing up and the negative side facing down, and then as you can see that the LED light switches on every time I close that flap. And using some sellotape, you just want to make sure these LED lights are stuck on securely onto your card. And once they're all stuck down, it should look something like this when you close the flap. And then next, using some double-sided sticky tape, I just stuck that battery down, but I made sure that that double-sided sticky tape didn't get in the way of that copper tape and the battery. Next, I took my A5 sheet of glitter paper and stuck this down onto my A4 card on the very bottom right-hand corner. The card was quite thick, so next I just took a craft knife and then scored down the very end of the card of where that glitter sheet had ended, and then I had folded the card in half. And once that was done, I then cut off any excess material where the glitter didn't cover using some scissors. Next, you want to take that original card of where you stuck your copper wire, and then using some scissors cut around the dog shape and try and cut it as thinly as possible, because this is what you're going to stick onto your glitter card. And just to make sure that the blue card isn't visible when the dog is stuck on top of it, I really did cut most areas around the dog and just left the area where the copper wires were stuck onto so that that doesn't get damaged. And so close up, this is what it should look like. And then next, taking some of your polyethylene foam, you just want to cut small little strips and stick this around, so then it creates a divide for where you're going to stick your dog on top of, and the battery as well. And then next, using some glue or some double-sided sticky tape, you just want to stick that cutout of a dog or whatever you have on top of the polyethylene sheet, so then it creates a small separation between the battery flap and your card cutout. And then next, because I wanted my card to be of a square shape, I just measured the width of the card, and then using a ruler and a pencil, I then stenciled the height and then cut this off using some scissors. And then finally, I wrote down Merry Christmas and pressed my tongue on a sheet of paper, then cut this out and stuck this on top of the card. And once done, your Christmas card is ready to light up. So to create this pudding card, you'll need a range of things. So you'll need different coloured card paper. So I went for brown, white, green and black. You'll also need some red tissue paper. You'll need a craft knife and a cutting mat, some polyethylene foam, just a small piece of it, scissors, a coin cell battery, a pencil, some glue, 2 types of sellotape, so one standard and one double-sided. You'll also need some copper conductive tape, and finally you'll need one LED light. So taking that black card, you then want to fold it in half, and this will be the base of your card. And once you've done that, you want to start creating your pudding. So I just used the inside of that sellotape to stencil out a circle shape, and using some scissors I cut this out. And next I just drew that sauce on the pudding, and then again used some scissors to cut this out. And then using that glue, I then just stuck this on top of that circular brown cutout I cut out earlier. And next I just drew 3 small circles at the top of the pudding, and then using a craft knife I cut this out. And once I did that, I took this pudding shape, then placed it on top of my black card, and then stenciled around this with pencil, even in the inside where the 3 holes are, so that I know exactly where I want my LED light to go. And next, with that pencil, I drew a small circle of where I want my battery to go. And again, for this card to work and light up, I need to create a switch. So to do that, I took a small piece of black card and cut a small strip out of this, again around 2 centimeters wide and 5 centimeters long. And then I folded this in half, and then using that all-purpose glue, I then stuck this flap on top of that circle shape that I stenciled out earlier. For this battery to work, when I place the battery inside that flap, I need to make sure that the positive side faces up and the negative side faces down. So again, anti-clockwise, I made sure that the positive line came down and through the inside of that flap, and then the same with the negative wire clockwise, and made sure that that again came inside that flap as well, but on the bottom part. So there's not many corners on this card, so it was quite easy to stick the copper tape down. But again, when reaching corners, you just want to make sure that you fold firstly away from the direction you want to go in, and then fold back into the direction that you want that tape to follow. And keep repeating this for every corner that you have. Again, for this to work, you want to make sure that with your LED light, that the longer part of the LED light touches a positive string, and that the shorter part of the LED light touches the negative string of that copper tape. And using some double-sided sticky tape, again not touching any of the copper tapes, I then stuck down the negative side of that battery onto the bottom of the flap. And so once that's done and I close the flap, it should now trigger my LED light. So next you want to go back to your Christmas pudding, and taking some of that red tissue paper, you want to stick it at the back of the Christmas pudding. And then next you want to take a polyethylene foam sheet, and you want to cut some small shapes and glue this inside of the pudding, but on the black card. And going back to the actual Christmas pudding itself, you just want to add some of those green leaves so it looks like a staple Christmas pudding. And then so you just want to stencil that out and cut it out using a craft knife or some scissors, and then glue this on top of your pudding. And once that's done, you then just want to glue the actual pudding on top of those polyethylene sheets that you glued onto your black card, so it creates a small separation between the battery and the pudding. And again, I just wanted a square shaped card, so I just made sure the height of the card was the exact same length as the width of the card, and then I just cut off any excess paper that I didn't need using some scissors. And finally, just using a pencil, I stenciled Merry Christmas on the card, and then went over this with a liquid silver pen. And this pen looks great on black card because it really makes that colour pop out. And then I just dotted a few dots around the card on top of the pudding, just so it gives it that snow effect too. There you have it, your Christmas pudding light up card is ready. Hey guys, so I hope you liked those DIY crafts. If you did, please do give this video a big thumbs up, and if you love it, please do click that subscribe button. And as I mentioned earlier at the start of the video, I've saved a playlist hosting all my Christmas craft videos, the ones that have gone and the ones that will be coming through as well in the next coming weeks. But anyway, take care, see you soon, bye!